Hey guys, this video is brought to you by TikTokWatchRepairs.com. We are an online watch repair company where you can go to our website and fill out a form for a free estimate, and we'll give you a price range as to what the repairs will cost. Or you could download our service request form and ship us your watch, where we'll provide you with an estimate. You would approve or decline the services, and then we will perform the necessary repairs and send you an invoice. After you pay, we'll ship you your watches back. So visit our website if you'd like to get any of your watches repaired. Thank you.
Hey guys, my name is Sarkis and I am going to teach you how to resize a watch. We are going to be resizing these four on the bench, and this should apply to most watches out there. As long as you could identify if any of these are, the same method that you would be using on your watch, whether it uses, screws, cotter pins, or a pin in a tube. If you could identify that, it could apply to your watch as well, even if it's a different brand of watch. So like the way this Victorinox sizes, a lot of fossil watches, diesel watches, most watches honestly resize the way that this Victorinox resizes, cotter pins. The most hardest are going to be these two, which I would really advise you against doing yourself. The main reason on the ceramic one, for example, is because if you don't do it right, you could break the links. These links could literally break because they're made out of a tile kind of material. And then this one is just really hard to do, especially if you don't have the right tools. It's really tight. This one's hard to get out, and not as hard to put back in, but hard to get out. Getting them out is the hardest part on these. And then the Rolex, uses a screw. As long as you have the right size screwdriver, you hold it properly, and we'll go through them. So let's start off with the Rolex. To resize your Rolex watch, you are going to need a screwdriver, right? One that is gonna fit inside of the screw hole properly. Then you're also gonna need a vise. I like to use this type of vise when resizing specifically Rolex watches or watches that use screws in general. And the reason why is because you could hold the bracelet with one of these. You could, strap it in there. So I'm gonna open the clasp. Obviously we need this side, so I'm gonna put it in here, tighten it, and now you see the watch is nice and tight in there. And this is plastic, so it's not gonna scratch the bracelet or any of the links. So when you select your screwdriver, you want it to fit from one edge to the other, and you want it to be the proper size for the screw. So this is the biggest size screwdriver that fits here. When you're trying to unscrew this, you want to make sure that you don't put a ton of pressure. The link has to come loose with a snug amount of force. You don't want to crank your entire wrist on there and try to get it out, because then you're gonna bend or mar the screw head over here, right? You're gonna mess it up a little bit. So if your screw is super tight and doesn't come out, don't force it. Apply heat with a heat gun right here. Try to specifically apply the heat over here, and that's gonna loosen it up so you could get it out. So now I'm gonna put my screwdriver like so, and I'm gonna give it some push, and see, mine came out pretty easy. So if you don't get it out with that much force, you need to put more force. You don't want to force it. You want to stop before you damage the screw and apply heat, because there is Loctite in there, as you can see at the edge. So you would of course remove the screw as well, remove the link, and then put it back like so. When dealing with anything that has screws, I do like to use Loctite as well. Clean off. Technically it would be good to clean off some of this old Loctite on here, so I'm gonna use a wire brush to clean that off. So you would take something like so. Okay, now it's nice and clean. And then apply a little bit of Loctite like that. Okay. Put the screw back in and take your screwdriver. I like to go backwards first to make sure I get the threads, and then go forward. And when you're screwing it in, you know, nice and snug, but you don't want to kill it either. So that's it. It's in there. See, you got some Loctite residue right there. You would wipe that off. Like so. And that's about it. That's how you would resize a Rolex watch, for example. As far as other watches that use screws, it's possible, I don't have an example, but it's possible for it to have a screw on both ends. Actually, the watch on my wrist has that example. So see here, I have a screw head here, and I have another screw head over here. So for this watch, you need a screwdriver on the bottom, and then another screwdriver on the top, and you need to hold these together and unscrew it to open these, because it's got screws on both ends. This one, you know, again, it requires a pretty special tool. You're probably not going to want to buy one of these if it's just for resizing one watch. I would recommend taking it to a watchmaker and having him do it. But it's basically a screw on each side, so you would use one of these and, you know, go like that basically. Okay. Oh, as another example, since it's on my wrist, this is a Breitling, and these, for example, to resize this watch, right, you have to remove these two screws and then these two screws as well, and you would open 1, 2, 3, 4. You would have to remove one of the bottom ones and then put back just one middle piece and one of these, and you would leave out, you know, 1, 2, 3. This one is like all, like, breaks into a whole bunch of pieces. Again, quite difficult. You know, I would recommend taking it to a watchmaker to do these. But just to give you an idea. Next, let's take a look at the most common watch that you would probably size. This is a Victorinox, and this uses cotter pins. And cotter pins are the most common way that most fashion watches and, you know, even high-end watches, they do tend to size like this. See, it's got arrows right here indicating which way the pin is going to come out. And if you look on one side, and my camera's not going to, I'd have to change the lens for me to get closer, but on this side it's just a round head, and then on this side you do see that it does have a little, like, a cut, but it's not like a big cut where a screwdriver would fit in it. So you don't use a screwdriver for these. You would use just a pin removing tool, you know, like this. And you can use two different types of bench blocks. I mean, you can use a metal one. This does require some skill to use. You could scratch the watch if you don't place it on here properly. You got to keep it nice and flat. More common, cheaper tool is this one. These plastic sizing tools, and you're basically just gonna find the spot where your bracelet's gonna fit. Oh, sorry, let me get the door. Alright, sorry about that, guys. So I was saying, you know, you gotta find the right slot where your bracelet would fit into, and you want to line it up with the hole on the bottom. See, they've got, you know, holes everywhere. So I've got a hole underneath this guy, and I am going to take my punch. You want to make sure to line it up. Seems kind of on the edge, but should be fine. And you're going to take a hammer, and you're going to hammer this guy. And there it is, it's out. right? So now if you wanted to take this link out here, right, to get one link out, you would do the same, punch this guy out this way, and then when you want to put the bracelet back together, what you want to do is basically go opposite to the directions. So you see how the arrow is pointing down, this way is down, and I am going to put my pin in this way. So that way when I'm next time removing a link, I follow the arrow, I punch it out this way. Hope that makes sense. So you're gonna connect the bracelet back, put this guy in here, put it back on your, bench block or anvil, hammer it like so, and then I like to give it a little extra tap to get it actually inside of the hole. You want to kind of get it in the center, so on both sides there's a little bit of space here and a little bit of space here, so it's like right in the middle of the link. And like I said, this type of sizing is going to be your most common one. It's going to apply to many watches out there. Most watches are just like this one. Next we'll do the ceramic. For the ceramic I'm going to use the metal block. Reason being, I like it better, and this isn't going to scratch, and I know how to hold it so you don't damage anything, I guess, ruin anything. So like I said, this bracelet is ceramic, so you want to make sure that the links are super flat. You don't want to be at any kind of an angle, because then you might break something, break a link, break a link. You want to pay attention to these circles. So see, this one comes out from this side, or let's size this way. So we're going to take out this guy here and this guy here in order to get this link out. Well, I'm actually not going to take both of them out, but you get the idea. So again, on the block, you hold it nice and flat. It's going to take your punch pin. Make sure you're lined up with the hole on the bottom, and that's gonna get it out. So see, it's got this tube here. This tube sits over here, and then the pin, you see it's got you probably can't see it, but it's got a little cut over here. So this tube fits here, and this is what holds it together. So now, of course, if you wanted to take the link out, you would do the same here. Remove this guy, and then when assembling, again, you want to do it the other way. So you would flip it over. Now this is the way that you want this to go in, which is the way it came out, right? You just want to keep the orientation the same. And this guy, now you're gonna just sit it anywhere, rest it on any of the flat spots of the bench anvil, and you're gonna take this tube here, lay it on top. So probably go in just with my tweezer. Now this is the tricky part. You want to be careful. Just lightly tap it. See, now it's in place, right? Now it's flat with the bracelet. So if I hammer anymore, I'm going to be hurting the bracelet. What I want to do is hammer just the edges so that I'm tightening up that tube inside as much as possible. You don't want to hit the link because you might break the link. That's about it. That's how you would resize, let's say, a ceramic watch. Some are a lot more difficult than this one. This one's my personal watch. It's quite, old and worn out, so the pins are looser than what a brand new watch would be like. So lastly, we'll do this Michelle watch. These watches, pretty much, if I'm not mistaken, all of them resize this way with a tube and a pin. And a lot of other watches use this as well. Tag Heuer, Movado, more high-end brands use this method of resizing. Like I said, just to give you guys an example, so it uses a pin and a tube, and the way it works right now is that this tube is sitting in the middle of the bracelet, and there's a pin going through it. Now, the reason why these are so hard is because you might, let's say, use this guy, right, to hammer it, and this guy will push it, let's say, this much out from the middle of the bracelet. But the problem is getting it the rest of the way out. If you just grab this with some pliers and you try to pull it, you might mess up the links, and you might pull apart the links if you pull hard enough, and you don't want to do that. What you want to do is use something very thin and small, basically another pin, one that's going to be a little bit thinner than this pin, so that it could slide through that tube. And this you're going to hammer here to push this the rest of the way out, and then it'll be, you could just use your tweezers, not a tool, to pull each out, and you won't damage or harm any links in the process. So now to do this guy, like I said, I like to use this, but I know that most people at home have these, so we'll go ahead and do it on one of these. I'm gonna line that up. We're gonna take this one, punch it halfway out, halfway through. Okay, so that's as far as that goes. Now, see, we only got that much of the pin out. And if I grab this and try to pull this, I might split apart some of the links if I pull hard enough, which will basically ruin the links. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is take another piece of tube, pin, and I'm going to place it on top like so. I'm going to hold it with my hands and get it the rest of the way out. See, now I could just pull that out with my hands, no force required. Now see, this one's sticking out a lot, and this is going to come out nice and super easy. And then see, the links are still not going to pull apart. What you have to do is open this guy. You see the middle is still connected. There is a tube inside of here. And watch, if I push from here, now you see this tube sticking out. You're going to grab this, and that's what's going to split apart the bracelet. Where did it go? There it is. See? And now you would of course do the same over here to get the link out, and then when putting it back together, again, you would flip this one away, connect the center section like so, take the tube and put it back inside. You want it to be nice and flat so that you could bring this guy down and it'll cover. If it's sticking out on either side, then you won't be able to bring this down. It'll block it. So now that that's down, this one is the tube pin for this, and that's gonna go back in here. And you're gonna take your bench block and hammer this in place. When I get close, I flip it over to the plastic side. We were almost there. You probably can't see it on the camera, but see right now it's like kind of sticking out and kind of flush with the bracelet, but I want it to be a little bit in, so that way it sits and rests in the center of the bracelet. Did I go too much there? Yes, I did. So I'm gonna flip it over. Well, no. No, it looks fine. No, it's in the middle. I guess it's seated in place, and I thought I kind of hit it too far. Yeah, that's about it. Of course. course, you know, there's gonna be other watches that do size in other more specific and special ways, you know, depending on the brand. But for the most part, you know, that's going to cover how to resize most watches that you could have. Hope you guys found this video helpful. Check out our website. It's TikTokwatchrepairs.com. I'll have it in the description. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook. Drop us a like, give me a comment, see what you think. Hopefully it's understandable and clear. Yeah. Thank you guys. Take care.